It's Linda, and I'm here with Kim, and she has Intuitiview. That's her site. I met Kim because she was a client of mine.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
She came in with her daughter, and we had some fantastic readings. And then one day I thought she looked familiar. I was like, doesn't that woman look familiar? And then, I try not to watch too many people. And
Right.
then my friend Daniel, who does my YouTube, he helps me with my YouTube stuff, said, "Do you ever see this Kim?" And I said, and he said, "She knows you." I said, "What?" So I looked and I said, "Oh yeah, that Kim. Yeah, I know her." And then you had wrote me too that you were thinking of starting it, or you were starting it.
Yeah. I started it, and then I kind of came to this late. You were one of the first people who said you have the gift. Unfortunately, the side of my family that has the gift, that has abilities, is also the side of the family that's Mormon. And so I grew up in a very religious home that was it didn't encourage this kind of stuff. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, okay. It's interesting
Yeah,
because
I
I
came
get
to
hit
it
up
late.
by Mormons all the time to do readings.
Really? Well, maybe it's changing. When I was young, it wasn't, but yes, we met a long time ago, and you read a lot for us. And when I started the channel, something happened where I just started getting lots and lots of information all of a sudden. It was like, well, they knew I had started the channel. So
Right.
my guides were giving me constant, and I just kind of asked for some advice how to kind of handle it, and how to kind of, get it under control, basically, so that I could
Exactly.
do it properly and read and turn it off when I wanted to, and that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
So
So, Kim and I are both great lovers of Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to see him in Oakland, by the way. Did
are
you
you
get
really?
tickets for that?
I haven't, but I'm going to.
Okay. I have to be in the front row. So as soon as he came
Oh,
up, I
well.
got my ticket right there. He's not having a meet and greet, doggone it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad.
So there's this, but I saw him before in Marin.
Oh,
And
really?
at that time, he didn't want people clapping. He didn't like people to clap for him. He's totally out.
Ah, I
But
get that.
I still wasn't awake. You have to be. It's almost like It's almost like he's a different language, and you have to understand that language before you can understand him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he carries a message that people have carried through time, right? Christ, Buddha, Course in Miracles. He cites all of them. For
Yeah.
some reason, the way that he spoke and the way that he described things and the way he interpreted those other teachings, it just resonated with me. I finally got it. I
Okay.
finally got it.
Okay. So, but my favorite about him is be the observer of the thinker. The more you get
Absolutely.
out of your head, the more you stop with the chatter, the
Yes.
oneness, be one with the creation, that starts vibrationally changing you. I mean, he doesn't talk about vibrational energy, but I have seen it and I see how it works. And
Right.
as we energetically stop being in this human form, I know that sounds crazy, but we have to tap in, and it makes it easier to handle human issues.
It does. And it is that kind of, I think of it as like a little, it's almost like accessing that little light, that little candle that's
Yeah,
there. You're getting in line with it, and you're getting yourself out of your head, out of the thinker, and
right.
into the observer. And it's very it is like being enlightened when it happens, when you get it. It really is that way.
I would
And
listen to
yeah.
him to see my dad in the hospital. It was almost a 2-hour drive to get to the VA, and the inside of my car was lit. I would be so
Really?
high, I barely
Yeah.
felt the drive. So I get
I know what you
tight
mean.
with him. Yeah. But
Uh,
it's so energetically beautiful. But here's an interesting question.
okay.
I've asked my guides, and I'm not, first of all, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do YouTube. But my guide said, quote unquote, you'll help calm people down. And I get a lot of that. Oh, thank you, Linda. You help calm us down. The problem is I get caught up in the phobicness of it. effing Trump this and blah, blah, blah. And I've got to step back. My last video was about, you know what? My guys are saying, shh, too much thinking. So my question is, what's interesting is I'm a psychic. I see the future.
Right.
Why, if we're supposed to be in the present, why do they give us that gift?
Well, that's a great question, actually, Linda. I like that. I think it is to help us put the present moment in perspective, because when we're looking at, if we look at the future, we're looking at, because people have their free will, we're looking at the most probable, right? Because it's fluid. It can change, especially when we see stuff like elections and stuff like that, it can change.
Right.
The closer you get, it can change. So I really do think it's to help us to keep the present in perspective. I'm sorry, to keep the future in perspective, because the most important thing is now, because the future is fluid. It can change. It can be different. And so I do think that we can have a grasp on what probably or is most likely to happen.
Right.
But you have to, and also to get to that place, you have to be present. You can't access it by using your brain.
Right.
The messages are delivered through that space that you make when you're pushing all the thoughts aside. The messages come through. And so I think even to access that, you have to be present.
Yeah. And Jesus was walking the earth and constant being present. He was present all the time. Yeah. Constantly getting the messages. He said the kingdom of heaven is within, and it is.
Right.
Nothing outside of you will ever make you whole. No amount of money, no job, no marriage, nothing.
It's true.
The only paradise you have is within yourself.
Absolutely. And the best example of that is Trump. Here's a man who supposedly has everything, right? He has everything Americans supposedly want. He has the stuff. He's got the power. He's got the, fame. He's got all of these things. And yet he is the most miserable human being I think I have ever seen.
It's so sad about him.
It really is.
It's so sad about him. But I don't know. I just really, I feel very excited about the future. I'm not getting a doom energy, but I will tell you, Sterling had picked up an explosion, and so had I, my friend, the psychic Sterling. Mm-hmm. And we had picked up this explosion. His wife had wrote me and said, Linda, do you pick? And I think I talked about it on my YouTube because I saw a boom. Well, there's one that happened in Russia.
Right.
But there was one in Afghanistan. And he was talking to his guides when it was happening. And his guides literally said, we got to go. I guess they go to that spot where all those people are. A lot of women and children died.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that something? I just thought that was interesting. And I have very unique, this is going to be interesting. I'm not a past life person. I do believe in it. I just don't. Right. Sometimes I'll pick up something like, oh, yeah. Somebody asked me if Trump had been Hitler. I asked Violetta.
Right.
I was on her show. And no. And I believe that. No. Right. But this woman came in who was like a powerful form. She was brilliant, She came in to check me out. We ended up chit-chatting mostly. And I should have paid her. And she said, those of us in her group believe that Trump was Caligula. And he had a wife, Melania.
Really?
The Roman emperor. Take a look at it. You guys, look it up. Google Caligula. Anyway, he was a weirdo.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, he definitely had Trump, that Trump, I could see that definitely that energy.
Him with his mouth doing this. You know how Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So that was
interesting. That is very interesting.
She said that Jared Kushner was the doctor that worked with Hitler. And it's interesting, he came back Jewish.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, she's a whole, I'm going to start looking up her stuff. She's a whole, it's not a cult. It's like energetic, what they pick up, what their energies pick up. But Caligula, that was just, I wasn't feeling like he was famous, but he was. And he had the opportunity to make this right, and he's not doing it. He may still, because remember his mother came to me. Did Trump's mother ever come to you?
No, his father did.
Okay. Well, the
Fred.
mother came to me and I says to her, she says, you know, Donnie was always a liar.
Mm.
And I said, well, are you sad about what's getting ready to happen to him? She said, no, I hope it saves his soul.
Oh, interesting.
What did the dad say?
The dad said that, well, it was interesting because I had never seen, up until that point, I had never seen Trump going to jail. For some reason, I just never seen it.
I still haven't seen it, but you could.
Yeah, yeah. And so he came and said that he is supposed to go to jail and have a kind of an awakening in jail. That's what he's supposed to do, and it's supposed to kind of help the karmic, I guess, balance of his dad and grandfather.
Okay.
And so that's what's supposed to happen. So we'll see. But I've never seen him in
he's going to go through hell. That I saw.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
I never saw him dying. He'll die eventually, but I didn't see him dying in office. But I saw everything being stripped from him. He's a laughing stock. I saw people laughing, almost like, I don't know him kind of energy.
Right.
But I see bigwigs conversing at a big table and saying, you know what, as the economy starts to drop, they're going to say, this guy has to go. What do we have? Who do we have?
Interesting. Yeah.
So
I agree.
It's going to be very sad for him.
It is. It is. It's going to be sad for us too, but it's going to be sad for him. Yeah, for sure.
But he came to change the perspective of the world. That's what I was telling people. Be grateful, because at the end, even if Hillary had been president, they probably would have impeached her by now. But if Hillary had been president, it would have been same thing, different day. There's a lot of monies involved and a lot of corruption, and that needs to go.
Absolutely. And Linda, I want to see what you think of this. After the mass shootings, the two in a row over the weekend, a couple weekends ago, I hit a point where I was just kind of like, okay, I need to know what the big picture is here, because people are afraid. And so what is the big picture here?
Yeah, like now, whenever anybody's having a big event, like, the Gilroy Festival.
Right.
Well, we had a fair out here in Santa Rosa, lowest numbers ever. It's making people be afraid.
Right. And so what the message that I got was this, and I just want to hear what you think about this. They told me that that what we're going through right now, they called an unearthing. And they said what's happening is that there's an unearthing right now. And I saw like hands digging in dirt. I had to look up the word because it sounded like Star Trek to me. So I'm like, is this a real word or is it made up? But it was an unearthing. And that is exactly what it is. It's when you kind of bring things out of the darkness or the dirt and pull them out. And that's what's happening right now. And so all of these, the corruption, the secrets, things we didn't know about, all these, horrible things are coming out. Everything's coming out. Yeah. Right. And then what is supposed to happen is we are supposed to see it, deal with it, heal from it, and then move on. And I asked, why is this happening right now in such a big way? It seems like everything's coming out of the woodwork. And they said it's because it's to save humanity and to save the planet. And which I thought, I understand that, because right now, especially, and they feel like the United States will lead the world. That's what it is. And so it was that. And I thought that resonated with me. I thought I understand, because we've been lost for a long time, but we're lost right now. We really are. And especially with the environment.
The NRA, which is a black force. There's people can still own guns, and there's no problem with getting background checks. Why would they fight background checks?
I have no idea.
90% of the country is for it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we have most murders here from guns than any other country. Why can't we follow the same course as everybody else? Right. And we will. But in these beautiful souls that literally sacrifice their lives so we can awaken. I'm shocked that when those little babies got killed, remember, in that little kindergarten?
Oh, I know. I know.
I think Obama tried and the Republicans refused.
They did. Well, they fought him on everything. They
Yep.
fought him on everything, and it's unfortunate, and yet, I think that it led us to where we are now, and it's going to lead us out into the light. It really, really is.
I actually,
Yeah.
I told Sterling that today.
Yeah.
I said, Sterling, I don't know why, but I'm going to tell you, I have an excitement in my soul energy, an anticipation, like
Right.
a hope for the future. So, we still got to deal with cray cray out there.
We sure do.
So, I wanted to ask you, and you might have talked about this already, and you guys, we can reach you at Kim. Wait, how in?
So it's Intuitiview. It's one word, intuitiview@gmail.com.
And I'll put it in the box in my I'll put it in the box on
There,
my
by the comments.
and I want to schedule a reading from my friend, so I'll talk to you later on that. But anyway,
Awesome.
But I wanted to ask you about the economy. What kind of hits were you getting? I don't see a drop like 2008, but I see a drop.
Yeah. I do too. And I think for some reason, October seems like a hard month. For some reason, it keeps coming up as a black month. I don't know why. We'll find out. But it comes across as like it's going to either make a huge dip. There's something about October that keeps coming up. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it comes up as a quote unquote black month. So I just think there might be a lot of ups and downs and also, more signs of a recession. But I wonder too that because Trump is there, we don't have that calm, that people might panic. But when the economy starts to fall, we don't have that leader right now that's going to say, everybody calm down. It's okay.
No, and yes, he lies. He lies.
Right.
The tariffs, we're getting money from China, billions and billions and billions of dollars. If we were getting billions and billions and billions of dollars, number one, his wall would be built. Number two, we would pay off the deficit. It's just like, why? Why can't he tell the truth? It's just amazing. And why are people so afraid of this liar? He's a liar.
He is, but he's always been a bully too. And I think there are certain types that are afraid of bullies and some types that stand up to him. We've seen that as well. So,
they're falling. The rats are jumping off the ship, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Some will go down with it and some will jump off.
Now, did you ever talk about Tulsi Gabbard?
I'll tell you what I get on her. It's very simple because it's a sign that I get a lot. Well, not a lot, but I've gotten it before. The sign is funhouse mirrors, and it always tells me that something is not what it seems.
Okay.
Something is it's not what it seems. There's something that's wrong.
It's like she's a plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something about her from the moment. She's a pretty woman.
Yeah.
Very appealing looking. And then the minute she started talking, I got this sick feeling in my stomach, like she's a fake.
Yeah.
But that first thing, which Trump likes to show off, but the first thing, they asked her a question. She didn't answer the question. She just talked about her service in the military.
Yeah. She's very proud of her service in the military.
She's very proud. But tell us the meat of what you're thinking. And she's eloquent. She knows how to speak. But let me tell you, anyway, I don't like her.
Yeah.
It's not for me to not like her. I'm just saying she's a nothing burger. Now, I did get this question. Will the EPA be saved?
My feeling is okay, and I've seen this before. Kind of like with the Endangered Species Act, I kind of see the same thing. It's like they're going to do what they're going to do while they're in there. But what they do is going to be reversed. Everything's going to be turned, and including that. And like I said, that big overall message that I got is about saving humans and saving the earth. And so I just feel like everything that's happening now is just going to be turned.
It's really weird. Now, I got this hit, and we'll see. I don't know if you agree, but I feel once Trump is gone, and not only are they legally on him, but I see they're going to be able to prove that he wasn't a legit president. And once they do that, everything that man touched will be removed. All the judges, everything.
You could be right. I see something very similar. With the Supreme Court, it's interesting because I see the next person that comes in adding judges, but it's the same thing because it would kind of make who he put in there null and void. But it easily could be
I
that
saw
they just
added
take him out.
judges too, but I do see Kavanaugh going.
Yeah.
I do see Kavanaugh going. I don't mind Justice Roberts. I think he goes by the law.
And he does not like Kavanaugh. Did you get that when he got on the
No, I
court?
didn't get that. You got that?
He does not like it.
But I see they're going to get him
he doesn't
on a
like it.
technicality, and he knows it too. He's nervous.
Yeah.
What happened to all that money he owed that disappeared? Just like Justice Kennedy, Justice Kennedy got paid a fat amount and then gave up his seat so he could put Kavanaugh in there. This was all planned.
Oh, it was. It absolutely was. It was planned from start to finish. And I actually saw something when Kennedy announced his retirement. I saw him at a table with a bunch of prominent Republicans, like they were discussing, like they were saying that this is what we're going to do. It's time for you to go, that kind of thing. So I know it was planned. I know you're right about that. As far as the money, so much of all of this has to do with money.
Yes.
I mean, I keep hearing money laundering about Trump and Russia, that a lot of the money he has spent and that he has is not his at all.
Hey, listen, when I first started reading, when people were first coming to me from New York,
yeah,
some good people, they said, Linda, I know people who actually worked on the show. Okay, The Apprentice.
Oh, right.
So I can't even get into it. It's so but I will tell you this, especially this one friend of mine said, anybody knows Trump's been laundering money for Russia for 30 years. Russia has owned him. They thought he was a putz. I don't even think Putin respects him.
No. In fact, I always felt like the reason he kowtows so much to Putin is that it feels like Putin could flip a switch and Trump is broke. That's how in bed they are.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, just one last question.
Sure.
Why is Roger Stone so quiet now? Because he had to shut up?
Well, I know that they put a gag order on him, but I feel like he's waiting for a pardon. That's what I think.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I think he's trying to keep as quiet as possible, and he's just hoping and praying for a pardon. That's what I think. I think it's completely self-interested.
What's interesting is that even Manafort, maybe when Trump's going out the door, he'll turn around and pardon everybody. But I don't see Trump doing any pardonings because actually, I'll be honest with you, he don't give a you know what.
No.
He does not care. Once you're no good to him, you're no good to him.
No. And what is so, it's amazing to me, Linda, that all of these people think that somehow they're going to be different, that Trump will treat them nicer or be nicer to them or be on their side or help them out. They all believe this, and yet they see person after person after person get screwed by Trump. But they all believe they're going to be different for some reason. But
listen, that energy that Trump has, people adore him. And it makes sense if he was Caligula, because people were upset when Caligula was assassinated. People, when he came in as emperor and he was sick or something, he had to go out for a little bit. Right. And then he came back, and one guy said he would jump off a cliff if you could just please bring him back. They were announcing their love for him. And do you know that when he came back, he made that guy jump off the cliff?
What?
Yeah. Come on,
yet,
do it. You said
I believe it. And yet I believe it. There are people that would do that for Trump. And why I don't. What do you think it is, Linda? What do you think it is?
He musters up an energy. Well, he acts like he's a big shot, but he's a fake. He definitely does not like people who see who he is.
Right. Absolutely. I
like that book. Did you hear that he wanted to do his allegiance on his book about, the Trump book that guy wrote for him? He acts like he wrote the book. He didn't write the book.
Art of the deal.
Art of the deal. He didn't want to use the Bible. He wanted to use that book. He is as Bible as I am 110 pounds.
Yes. Oh, I know.
He is not
such,
Bible. It was awkward when he tried to talk about the Bible. Yeah, I read it all the time. Well, what's your favorite verse? Yeah, let me think about that.
I always tell my husband and my daughter when we're watching Trump, I'm like, whatever he says, the opposite is true. That's
There
all
you
you have
go.
to
But
remember.
this is what, and I said it in my last video. I can't watch.
Right.
I can't watch anymore. Like even in my favorite show, Rachel Maddow, if she's bringing on a piece of him talking, I have to mute it. I can't look at him and I can't listen to him.
There is something about his voice. Also, we've just been subject to so much of it, and it's so
Continually. And the good
yeah.
news is, Bill Maher talked about this.
Uh-huh.
People are getting tired.
Oh
We're
yeah,
getting tired. He's
are.
tweeting too much. He's talking too much. He's lying too much. It's like, come on, let's do somebody. I would take a Republican that was decent. It doesn't have to be a Democrat. You know
Agreed.
what I'm saying? Just to put somebody decent in there.
Right.
Somebody who tells the truth. I used to think Bush was bad. Now I'd take Bush back in a New York.
It's all perspective.
Right.
Linda, I wanted to ask you a question about, well, actually, I just wanted to actually comment on what you were saying. And it's kind of a question, I guess, and maybe you can answer this. I have never, ever seen anyone, maybe a Hitler or Mussolini or somebody like that. I've never seen someone in our generation or this generation who is so good at pulling hate out of people, whether it's his supporters or the people who are, against him.
Families against families.
Hate.
Common denominator with the Trumpsters is hate.
Don't you think that's his real talent?
Because if he's bringing out this stuff that white folks, and I have my dad was white, so I'm not cutting white folks.
Right.
And we got to be careful about the white thing too, because these are our brothers and sisters. So we can't be acting like you're white and you're this.
Right.
But he brings out this feeling. See, for me, I was a registered Comanche Indian. I always was, for school, I was helped and jobs, they marked down that they had a Comanche with, my white part didn't count.
Right.
But I saw, like my dad was a fire captain, and they got to a point where they would only hire different nationalities or blacks or Mexicans. Mm-hmm. The white guys, no matter what they did on the tests, were cut out.
Really?
And so I can kind of see, my dad wasn't like that, but I can kind of see where it's like, you know what, white, and they actually think, but I've never seen a white man working in the field saying, I can't believe these Mexicans are coming in here taking my job.
Right.
They're working fields. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. And these, I really just think that, people, they're hurting. The coal miners are hurting. All of these factories are leaving, and people are hurting economically. And do you remember John Edwards? Do you remember John Edwards, the Democrat? Well, I remember he used to say, and which is true, and Bill Clinton used to say it too, that when you're hurting economically, you never look down, you look up. You never look at the people below you, you look up. But people that are up will tell you to look down. They'll tell you to look below you. They'll tell you to look at the immigrants or the poor people getting, assistance, and that's who the problem is. But that is what Trump has exploited in these people. Like you said, they're our brothers and sisters. They are hurting right now. They can't make ends meet. They don't have good health care. They're working 2 and 3 jobs, and they're blaming. And so he said, And so he says, okay, it's these Mexicans coming across the border. That's who it is. So of course they're like, oh, that's who it is. We'll get him out of here.
Illegal immigrants, which, I think we should come here legally. I'm not for illegal, but we got to make a system that works.
Right. And
they all do fake Social Security numbers, and the Social Security Administration knows this. Do you know the amount of money they put in that they never claim? Really? Do you know once we start cutting out these immigrants and saying no more, the less money that Social Security, it's going to hit Social Security so hard, because a lot of people, for the pleasure of living here, will pay Social Security under a fake number. I saw a guy, I think it was on MSNBC, that knows about this stuff, and he was saying, we're going to get hit big. You want the illegals gone? Okay, but guess what? Social Security knows this. This is their bread and butter.
Right. Well, and we know that immigrants pay their taxes, and I know someone who's probably never paid a tax in their whole life.
And what about those? No problem. I'll show you my taxes. He's fight. Listen. Okay. Last question. Will we ever see his taxes?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. And it's going to be.
You know what?
It'll be shocking.
It won't be some sexual indiscretion. It won't be anything like that. That takes him down. It's not. I'm telling you, his people will say it's fake news. What'll take him down is the economy and money. Money is part of it. Maybe even the fact that on record with the IRS, he was never the big shot he said he was.
Right. I honestly, you're right. And I think it's because the two most important things to him are money and his name, and both are going to be destroyed. And we're going to,
the other thing is that the laundering money, because really the people that love him don't care about us speaking Russian in a few years. They really don't care. It's interesting. But I think when they see that Russia owns them, they might care.
Yes, and I also think that people are in general, like I said, they've lost a lot, and so over the decades, and so they're just angry. Period. Right. So I think you're right. I think they lash out, and you've got Fox News and these other groups that are exploiting that and turning it up, and instead of saying everybody calm down, let's figure this out, they're saying it's them, and just bubbling up this hate, and we're witnessing it. We're all witnessing to it.
I remember listening to him talk. He seemed so charismatic, and he's saying, I got some of the best people on healthcare. I got a plan for healthcare that outbeats Obamacare by a landslide. People will have the best healthcare. And the interviewee, I think she was from 60 Minutes, said, where you don't get hit because you have a pre-existing condition. No. It's going to be, and for 1 minute, I believed him. And I said, well, if he does that, wouldn't that be nice that he does healthcare? Absolutely could care less.
No, he doesn't
care with nothing behind it.
No, because he's number one. He's number one. If it's going to benefit him, it's going to be done or not done. And that's it. That is it.
Right. Well, Kim, it was a pleasure talking to you. You look beautiful as always, girlfriend. How's your daughter doing?
She's doing good. She's going to film school in England, so she's doing good. But she's a good channeler. Have you ever seen her channel before?
No, I have to see it. I'll go through your channel and see when I see her.
She's a writer, and is a screenwriter, and so she gets a lot of inspiration from a lot of different people, and that's how she discovered she could channel.
Well, let me tell you something. She's going to be famous.
Well, you know what? Your lips to God's ear, because
she's going to be famous.
We need a retirement plan, so that would be great.
There you go. So, you guys, I'm going to put her site on this YouTube channel, and I thank you guys. You stay with me, Kim. I'm just going to turn off the recording.
Got it.
So, okay, bye. Say bye.